CRPN Central, this is Dr. Fox. Thank you for your continued support of the CRPN mission and CRPN Central. If you like this free education, please subscribe to the CRPN Central YouTube channel today and follow us on LinkedIn. If you'd like to join CRPN as a site or a sponsor, contact us today at info@crpaynet.com. Enjoy the show. Don't forget to share your voice for good and positive change in the industry.
I can't believe this. After 15 years of hard work, they just let me go. I've heard of this happening to people, but I never thought I would be one of those people. Well, if you happen to hear of any job openings and you'd be willing to send them my way, I'd really appreciate it.
It's certainly rough times out there. Hey, I know a few companies who are hiring right now, and after knowing you for most of our professional careers, I'd be happy to connect you to see if it's a good fit.
Wow, thanks so much. I really appreciate your help.
Oh, and I have another colleague in my professional network who is really good at resumes. I'd be happy to put in a good word for you. Maybe we could get you the friends and family discount.
That would be amazing. I really need to pay you for all of this help.
Oh, don't worry about that. I'm happy to help. I've been blessed with an amazing professional network of colleagues. We respect each other and we help others in the industry as we need it. Keep your money. Just pay it forward if you ever have the chance. Oh, and I almost forgot. I have a buddy who runs an industry podcast. Maybe we can get you on there to show your expertise and to help build your brand.
I can't believe the connections you have. It's amazing how much a professional network can help everyone succeed. You have taught me a lot of lessons today, and I'm definitely going to pay closer attention to my professional network going forward. Thank you again for all of your help.
Professional networks, an overlooked practice in the industry, and by far one of the strongest resources that we have. The clinical research industry is a vast global wilderness that can easily become overwhelming and discouraging. And the key to properly navigating the chaos is not in our titles, our education, or our paychecks, but rather in each other. Industry. Our mission is far larger than any one person, and as a result, we must rely closely on each other to succeed. Pick up the phone, talk with each other, and find the professionals in your world who share your passion, your drive, and the mutual resources that everyone needs to thrive together. Welcome to CRPN Central, the official podcast of the Clinical Research Payment Network. I'm your host, Dr. Daniel Fox. CRPN Central discusses the real issues with our clinical research industry to explore and identify mutually beneficial solutions for all of our stakeholders. Clinical research sites require layers and layers of professional networks to succeed in the industry. From local physicians, hospitals, and patients to global sponsors and CRO professional networks, it really is all about who sites know that leads them to successful business opportunities. In an industry that requires so many professional connections and relationships, how may we improve professional networking activities to foster efficient and successful clinical research? Today, we will discuss professional networks in the clinical research industry, defined as the creation, maintenance, and management of relationships with key business stakeholders by sharing knowledge, providing support, and identifying opportunities to foster mutual benefit and business advancement. First, we will speak with a veteran site owner who actively ensures strong professional relationships for optimal business success. Then, we will speak to an industry pro who is rapidly developing professional connections and support for our industry's professionals. To maintain valid comparisons, both interviews will use the same questions, and my guests did not know the questions before the interviews. We will reconvene after the interviews, compare answers, and perhaps identify how we, as clinical research professionals, may improve our professional networking practices for optimal results. Our first guest is an experienced site owner who has an eye for opportunities and the ambition to pursue them. Lee Eifler is the CEO of MACOA, the Medical Advancement Centers of Arizona, where he serves to actively engage with patients and speak with industry stakeholders about trial acquisitions and opportunities. Lee is a phenomenal and resourceful professional, and I am so thankful he has taken the time to speak with us today. Please welcome with me Mr. Lee Eifler. Lee Eifler, thank you so much for coming on to CRPN Central today.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Would you be willing to introduce yourself to the audience?
Sure. I'm the CEO of Medical Advancement Centers of Arizona, working on another site on the west side of Arizona. Been in research for multiple years now, really focus on a variety of indications.
What do you do at the site?
I would say I'm the grease that keeps the cranks turning, but mostly what I do is going to be in business development and in patient recruitment. I really like talking to patients and explaining new therapies and if a trial would be beneficial to them. And then I do a lot of business development as far as trial acquisition.
So trial acquisition, specifically going out there to the sponsors and trying to get trials into the door for your sites.
Yeah, I mean, most of it's done through email, not physically knocking on the doors of sponsors. I'd love to go, though. A lot of it is really networking with other sites and recommending each other. There's a pretty good group I work with.
So you're networking with sites, you're helping each other.
Yeah, and MSLs. I was just at my cardiologist's office, who's a PI for us. We were doing an SEV and they had an MSL there. MSLs are great avenues to get up pharma companies for trials.
Was the MSL scheduled to be there?
I think he was scheduled to be there. I mean, it had no relation to why I was there. He was talking to the cardiologist staff, so then I went up and talked to him. I work with multiple clinics and they have MSLs come in. I always grab their cards and then follow up with them.
That's one of the things that really inspired me about what you do. I don't think you ever take a break from the business development. Everywhere you look, whether you're on the clock or not, you better bet you're right there getting that opportunity.
First of all, I'm decent at recognizing opportunities. A lot of people have opportunities run up on them and they just don't even see them. I certainly see them, but I also pursue them. You find them in random places. I meet potential PIs everywhere. My first PI, one of the first I met at a birthday party, another one I've met at a party, another one I met at a dinner. I'll meet PIs at random locations all the time.
It seems like many times you run into opportunities when you're not looking for them. They're just kind of there and you have to know to look out for them, but it's not like you're hunting for them.
Yeah, so we have a full-time tribal liaison now. He kind of intercedes between us and tribal councils and local reservations. He helps us recruit patients right from the reservation or the local Indian communities, but I met him at a bowling alley. I told him about what I did. He got real excited. He told me his father died of diabetes and was talking about how his reservation has the highest rate of diabetes per capita anywhere in the entire world. The tribal council has a real focus on metabolic studies and problems. So because we do liver, obesity, diabetes studies, there's a real good fit. He wanted to really get involved.
Today's episode is on professional networking, specifically those activities that we have to do as research sites to develop a professional network, whether it's for business development to get the trials, whether it's meeting someone at a bowling alley for patient recruitment help, whether it's finding a doctor at a birthday party, whatever it might be, it's that professional networking activity that sites have to do all of the time. I'm going to ask you a series of questions today, and I've already asked those questions to another individual. We're going to take your answers, and we're going to compare your answers to those of the other individual, so that maybe we can try to find some kind of an alignment, maybe a similarity in the opinions and the activities that can be done, so that we can improve professional networking practices throughout the industry.
Sounds like a contest, and I hope I win.
Can you walk me through your professional networking process from the beginning of a relationship?
I definitely wouldn't say I have a formalized process. When it comes to networking and or even patient recruitment, if you're following too much of a process, if it's not organic, it's not authentic. People respond to authenticity. I don't want to say that I don't have a plan, because I do, but it's a lot more off the cuff. And you have to network with different people in different ways, especially based on their background. For example, I was just at a conference and probably one of the most valuable connections I met, I was introduced from another site owner. And when I say most valuable, I mean, I'm going to bring this person a lot of value with our site and their company's going to bring us a lot of value. We didn't meet inside a meeting or at a breakout session or comment on how great our speeches were. It was at a bar sharing appetizers afterwards. Now, that's the perfect environment for networking with some people. It's also the worst environment for networking with others. It's based on the individual and what they want. You got to meet people where they're at. Networking similar to community development, you got to go to where they are. You got to meet that person where they're at. Not necessarily a physical location always, but more just where they're at in their career. How do they want to handle a meeting? Sometimes physicians always like dinners. Super busy family guys want to meet for lunch because they don't want to give up their dinners with their family. And you kind of have to work around that and then meet them where they are to build a relationship.
So it's almost like you have to have an understanding of the needs of the individual, not just professionally, but also how they network, like network needs of each individual.
Yeah, and I think this is kind of an oxymoron, but what you really need to have is a rigid flexibility. You need to be extremely flexible in the way you approach things. It needs to be malleable. What works in one scenario won't work in another. Most people, when they're networking, it's really self-indulgent. I have people that come to me all the time. Hey, can you help me get trials? Hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me with that? And I don't mind doing it. But what I do differently is when I go to people, especially on the first time, I go with the offer. This is why I get PIs. I'm not asking them for space and money and then telling them how great I'm going with the offer. Here's what I can bring you. I did this from the very beginning because I needed studies. I needed help. But what I was doing is every study opportunity I got, I was kind of sharing like, hey, does anybody want this study? I heard about it. Would you like me to make an introduction? And when you start off a relationship by bringing something of value to them, all of a sudden they reciprocate a whole lot faster, especially when you know that they're going to be valuable in the long run. I try to start the relationship with the offer, not with the ask.
That almost establishes their willingness to trust you if they see that you're initially offering something.
Right. I mean, and something of value. I'm not like, hey, I'll do your laundry. If you want to get into a group of other sites, come to them like, hey, do you do COPD studies? Hey, I can recommend you. Do you want me to add your PI for it? That's the best way to build a relationship. You're starting off with them and then follow up with them. Hey, did you ever hear from them? Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. But the fact that you're offering something of value to them and then trying to see if they succeeded with that, that's saying, hey, this guy's not all about himself, or this is somebody that I want to network with because they bring value.
And that's very interesting because you're talking about networking sites with sites. What value do sites bring to other sites?
Oh, best practices. For example, it was from another site that I got the short form consent. It's one of my most valuable things. I have an IRB approved short form consent, so I can consent people and do specific procedures prior to consenting them on a study, which has cut my screen fail rates down to half. We share study leads and we recommend each other.
There are sites, they'll share things like the short form consents, things like best practices, sometimes SOPs when they trust each other, sometimes even these negotiated rates really helped me, or maybe they'll help you, or they'll come to each other with problems. It's a little network of sites. So it's interesting on the professional networking level. It's not just to get trials. It's not just to get the physicians. It's also sites to sites.
Even just advice and or market trends. What are you seeing in this space? What are you seeing in this space? This is a big one as of late. Have you had any trials canceled? How many trials are you on that are delayed or canceled? And right now, trial cancellation and delayment is...
Well, they're everywhere.
It's happening. It's up.
What are the advantages of strong professional networks?
It depends on what your goals are. As a site owner, everybody I network with, I'm looking for more studies and I'm looking for more patients and or better practices. So that's who I'm networking with. People that I can either learn from and or gain trials or patients from. But a lot of people have different goals. It's going to be different based on the business, but within this business, even if you're a CRA, it helps with your career trajectory, regardless of whether you're a site owner, business owner, pharma company. It allows you to make lateral or upward movements in your career, plus have relationships with people. I think there was a large run of layoffs at multiple CROs not too long ago. Having a pipeline and a network of people outside of that, there's a lot of people that picked up contract positions really quick, I'm sure, and a lot of people that are still sitting at home wondering what they're going to do. The larger your network, the more opportunities you're going to have in events like that.
And like the more secure.
Right.
I found, especially in my field, having a strong network helps me in the event of an escalation where I'm having a hard time with like a CRO, having a hard time with a payment or a negotiation. I know who to talk to and I can raise my concerns to them. Sometimes you can break down some of that challenge that you're having.
That's something else. The COO for Makoa, it's forced on us to use this vendor from the sponsor, but our COO has a relationship with the president of the company. They hadn't uploaded the data on an MRI yet, and we need that to randomize the patient. So she called the president of the company and said, look, we're going to lose this patient if you don't get it in. And within like 24 hours, something we've been waiting on more than a week was uploaded and then inspected, which is going to save a randomization for us, which obviously keeping somebody in the window and not losing a randomization when enrollment's closed after this one. So there's no opportunity to replace the patient. It's a big deal. And that was just an example of our COO using her professional network. Because when you need something, sometimes you need it now. And it's the people that are easy to deal with and have those professional relationships. It comes through for you when you need it.
I can't tell you how many times I've made a phone call on maybe 6 figures worth worth of late payments for a site. I made one phone call, we got things worked out, and the site was paid within days when it's taken months to get this far. Really, really important to have that kind of network.
Absolutely.
It really is who you know. This is an industry of who you know.
Yeah.
How do you maintain your professional networks and relationships?
Interaction. Who do you keep in your network, or the frequency at which they're in your network? That's something that happens, I think, naturally, because you just have a natural synergy between certain businesses or certain people. And it's because you're both valuable to each other. And that's who you end up networking with more. And it's because there's more in the relationship for both of you. Because of time you're spent, you build stronger relationships inside of that. Ultimately, a value proposition for both people. When you're valuable to each other, you end up connecting up more. And it's because you're both valuable constantly. It's a more synergistic relationship.
Do you think that someone remains in your professional network as long as you both offer value to each other?
Even if they don't offer value to you, as long as they're not a negative value, they remain in the network. There was a person that came to me asking for a job. I talked to them, but they are just a time vampire. This person wants my unequivocal attention for stuff that's nonsense and then asking a lot out of me. Like, I was happy to give it one time, but then just became burdensome. And if you become burdensome on somebody, like, great, I love networking with you, but I'm busy. And if you even have this kind of time, I don't have time to deal with you. When you just bring nothing and then you not demand time, I call them time vampires.
Time vampires.
They suck the time out of you.
They are extracting value from you without providing.
Exactly. And when they keep coming back, hey, can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Can you do this for me? Even if it's something simple, can you read my articles and like them? Well, I don't have time to read 15 articles a day, especially that you use AI to write. There's no original thought in here. ChatGPT wrote that, not you. Come on, I don't have time for that. I don't want to read your AI written articles.
So then you somewhat feel used by someone. Someone is taking something from you.
They're attempting to. People use me all the time. I don't mind. I love helping people out. There's tons of people that helped me out, including yourself. I always will help people out, but I also tend to come with the offer and not the ask. It's when somebody continually comes with the ask. And then when they start asking for more time and more time, no, you can't have my time. I've got fruitful people I can deal with.
You're right. This is a very giving industry, but it doesn't take long to get cautious of people who use you, maybe not necessarily in a synergistic way, but more of like a parasitic way.
But yeah, that's well said.
How do you end professional relationships when you need to?
It's like fishing. You just cut the line, man.
Just cut the line?
I don't send anybody nasty emails, and I don't burn bridges. I leave the relationship there. It's just, no, I'm not going to help you. You have to set boundaries. Can you do this? No, I can't.
They just keep asking for things. And as long as you keep giving, they'll just keep taking.
I have one like that too, where I've had to say no. The answer is no, especially because it becomes just enabling. I'm not here to solve all your problems.
Yeah, and so what happens is when you say no, they'll just move on to the next person. They'll just keep moving on to the people until they get what they need.
Or they'll learn how to solve a problem on their own, which sometimes you have to do. I like when people bring me challenges. They're like, oh, what would you do in this? I'm like, I don't know. Because sometimes they're really interesting questions. Everybody that I tell no to, it's not like I'm trying to create those boundaries of separation. It's an honest, I'm too busy. And it's a legitimate stuff they ask for. Like, I'd like to help you. I just can't right now.
That's good to know your limits too. It's good to know this is my capacity and I'm at capacity. I can't do any more.
It's not that, I have extra capacity. It's time. Or if they need something this time, like I can't commit to it, but I'll try to find an alternative. Like, hey, let's circle back in like a month. And they're like, well, I need this next week. Well, sorry. Next week I'm not,
sorry, I can't do that.
But that's not me always cutting the line, so to speak.
How may we improve our professional networking practices to foster efficient and successful clinical research?
Especially when you first get going. I think it was actually Brad Hightower said something about how everybody turns down talking to all these suppliers, a lot of them. And he said, make some time to talk to them. Doesn't matter if you already have an e-source company, talk to another one. If you already have this supplier still, talk to another one. There's a lot to learn, and it helps you stay on the forefront of not only where things are going or maybe where their mindsets are. And it can be valuable to them. If you find new stuff, you may learn something from that conversation that you can put in place, because there may be a different way of thinking about it that you haven't thought about. I actually think it's been a big advantage to me in a lot of ways, coming from kind of outside the industry in versus coming up from the bottom. A lot of signers are former coordinators or CRAs, and they have this kind of tunnel vision way of looking at research coming from outside. I've seen a lot of stuff a little bit differently. And I think that's given me an advantage in certain areas.
And it's interesting when you talked about Brad's quote, it's almost like saying keep an open mind, almost like what you do all the time, where you always keep an eye out for that next networking opportunity. You never know where it's going to come through, and you definitely don't want to shut things down. If you have an open mind and you think about, like, especially those vendors, oh my gosh, those vendors get to go to every single conference because that's their job. So you could only imagine who they talk to.
I'm a lot more extroverted than most people in life sciences, so it's a little easier for me to talk to people. Ironically, most of the time when I'm in a room, when it's clinical research, I am the least intelligent person in the room. But I'm still talking, especially when I go to dinner with a bunch of doctors and I'll be the only non-physician there and they're all specialists. They'll start talking way above my head and they'll be like, you know what I'm talking about? And they're like, oh yeah. And I'll just nod and be like, no idea. I'm just a business guy. But at least it's authentic. People will receive you well, even if they know they're smarter than you, at least if you're authentic.
Mm-hmm.
We all have different skill sets or areas of expertise, and that's why we make good sites together.
That's a really, really good point. A lot of times, especially in clinical research, people do form these specialized levels of knowledge. And honestly, if you don't have that knowledge, it is very intimidating to go in front of these people and to try to learn. It's almost humbling to a point when you first start. And just being able to go in there and keep that open mind and be humble and just sit there and listen. Be very humble, listen, understand that you don't have all the answers, but you're there to try to learn the answers.
One of my favorite things about clinical research is when you've done a late phase study and then it gets approved, and then the new MSLs come around selling something that you have approved and you have more knowledge on the product than the new MSL that's in trying to sell the physician. And they're like, how did you know that? Well, actually, we were looking at this a couple of years ago. It's interesting where I'm really outgunned on the biology end by a lot of physicians when it comes to knowledge of medications, especially on the new ones. I understand them and even the mechanisms by which they work. I don't want to say equally as good as the doctors, but I have knowledge on the new medications that they don't have. They haven't learned it yet.
If I were to hand you the microphone right now and I said, what would you like to tell the entire industry about professional networking, what works, and how we can make it better, what would you tell them?
Pick up the phone. There is not enough phone calls. There needs to be a lot more communication in this industry via phone. Too much is done through email, and you can't build relationships through emails. Even networking at the sponsor level with coordinators and CRAs. Everybody wants to send an email and respond 2 weeks later. If you pick up the phone, a lot of this stuff is handled quickly. Now, obviously, a lot of people are in patient visits or in monitoring visits that can't pick up the phone, but everybody should dedicate at least a portion of their week to making phone calls because it's way more efficient than email. Email just leads to another question. Sometimes the answer is like a 5-page email return and then you can explain it in 3 minutes on the phone. Open up that line of communication. I think that would be the biggest thing I could do in the industry.
Are you telling me that in order to improve professional networking, we have to actually make it personal?
Yes, I think we need to. Everybody has a phone in their hand. Pick it up and use it.
Yeah, there's phones everywhere. You could Zoom, you could phone. As long as you have a voice conversation, you'll be fine.
And honestly, most of the professionals, when we're setting meetings, a lot's done through Zoom now. That is a lot more personalized. It's face to face. That's as good as a phone call. You can see who you're talking to. When you're meeting people for the first time, emailing back and forth, just pick up the phone, do a Zoom meeting, do something.
Pick up the phone, talk to people, make it personal, engage with someone, understand their needs, be the first one to offer something to build that relationship. And if we can all be a little humble, listen to each other, and essentially make networking a priority, then we should be able to enhance our professional networking capacity in the industry.
Well said, Daniel.
Lee, thank you so much for coming on to CRPN Central. An excellent conversation, and I look forward to sharing this with the audience.
Thank you. I'll look forward to talking to you soon. Hey, I appreciate, again, everything you and CRPN do. You've really helped out our site and multiple sites I've worked with. Everybody's a Dr. Fox fan, except pharma budget negotiators.
That's what I'm here for. I just want to make sure everyone can have the budget that they need.
No, you do a good job. Thank you. And thanks for all that you've done for me personally and professionally. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. Lee, thanks so much. I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Have a good day.
All right. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Our next guest works to actively network with her industry and to teach her community how to properly develop their professional network. Elizabeth Tabor is the co-founder of the Clinical Research Referral Club, a newer organization dedicated to diverting our professionals from the industry's gatekeepers to ensure that everyone has the keys to success. Elizabeth is an amazing and inspirational professional in our industry, and I am so thankful she's taken the time to speak with us today. Please welcome with me Elizabeth Tabor. Elizabeth Tabor, thank you so much for coming on to CRPN Central today.
Hi, thank you, Daniel. I am so excited to be here.
Would you be willing to introduce yourself to the audience?
Yes, I'm Elizabeth Tabor, co-founder of the Clinical Research Referral Club. We're a private community strictly for clinical researchers. Our whole thing is about not only providing a network, but teaching people how to network. This industry has been siloed for too long, so we're all about opening the door and showing people the keys to success in this industry. We like to bring everybody that touches a clinical trial in to share what's working and what's not working.
That's quite the objective.
Yes, too long information has just not been shared. There is a lot of gatekeeping in this industry, and I had a personal struggle with that. So I'm now being the change that I wish I had by being that helping hand and then also bringing together others who are willing to help move research forward.
Can you tell me more about what you were doing and how you're doing it?
We have our own social media platform. It's completely for clinical researchers. It's set up for you to find people by therapeutic area, their type of employer, what their interests are. So it's really drilled down to make sure that there's no noise and people can find those that can truly help them on the path that is unique to them.
And what is the name of this platform?
The platform is Clinical Research Referral Club. You find us by going to www.joincrrc.com.
joincrrc.com.
Yes. Once you go there, you can explore who we're about. And then we have Become a Fellow. Once you click the Become a Fellow button, you will see our pricing for fellowship. And then after that, you get a specific link to our platform. Once you're in our platform, you check in. And once you check in, you have full access to everything we offer.
What would pricing be to be a fellow?
We are at $19 a month. With that, you can join and then stop as the membership fits you. That's the beauty about our platform is that you're not locked into any contracts.
I'm pretty sure there's like a TV streaming service is like $24 a month now.
Yes, and no surprise up hikes because I am a part of that streaming service and I have checked my bank statement and I'm like, whoa, when did you get to this price? Affordability is very important to us. With that, a lot of people are outpriced of networking opportunities, whether that be conferences or other organizations where they do require that upfront pricing, or once you stop, you have to start all the way over. But for us, it's pick up where you feel like you need to.
Today's episode is on professional networks in the industry, specifically the networks that we as clinical research professionals have to build so that we can be successful. I'm going to ask you a series of questions today, and I'm going to ask those questions to another individual. We're going to take the answers that you've provided for these questions, and we're going to compare those to that of the other individuals. So maybe we can have best practices about what we can do in professional networking in the industry.
Okay, yes, I love that.
Could you walk me through your professional networking process from the beginning of a relationship?
First, I would say it's introspection. Does it make sense for me to be contacting the person that I'm contacting? The second step for me is where can we find common ground? Do I have an interest in their day to day? Have I been to the city they visited? It doesn't always have to be research related, but some common ground. Step 3 is making myself visible, but not in a way of asking, more contributing to their influence and their visibility through commenting, saying that I notice you. People love to know that they're valued. So I let them know I do value their presence and even more that their time will contribute to me and how I can share that with others.
Mm-hmm.
From there, I then go with outreach. So at that point, I'm no longer a stranger. Not only have I found something we have in common, but I have also acknowledged them and let them know that they're on my radar and why I think their presence is valued and how that can align with what I have going on. Once I contact them, I usually give them a standard amount of time, so 3 to 5 days, depending on what that reception is and how I feel about that connection. Either I'll follow up or take a hint. I just kind of see if I notice that they're very active, but they haven't gotten back to me, but just kind of seeing where they could be at in their life and being respectful of their boundaries as well.
Kind of like reading the room then.
Yes. And And that doesn't mean for me always give up. That just means I need to keep engaging more in a low pressure way. Sometimes messaging people can put extra pressure on them, but a comment or a like can start building that relationship in a subtle way. So then I will do the follow up.
I know people really love to be listened to, but I've also know that people really hate to feel like they're being used or that there's like a transaction involved. How do you build this relationship?
For me, it's reciprocal. Understanding also where they are and potentially where they want to go. I say, hey, I can bring this to the table. Instead of a first ask, mine is a value of this is what I can bring to you. And then I work on my ask.
So you prioritize their needs over yours. And once you've established that, they've created almost like a trust with you to the point where then you can maybe ask.
Yes, always giving value first, then the ask. Because for anybody to pour in you, they have to think it's worth their time. People are transactional. So I would say if you want something in the end, it's usually better to start with helping them before asking them to help you. Definitely just building that relationship. If you see that they have a new course or like you a podcast, sharing that, continuing to comment, giving engagement, giving them the visibility that you want to have. And through that, they will see that you're supporting them. And when they go read that message and say, hey, I really like what you're doing, they see that that is a genuine statement and not just a statement to get a response.
When it comes to this process, what is the timeline?
There is no timeline. All relationships move at a different speed. I've had relationships that develop quickly over a day, but then also ones that have taken months to start building trust for us to actually engage in a more meaningful conversation.
What happens when you are on the other side of the table where people reach out to you?
When I'm on the other side of the table, I evaluate people the same way. Are you connecting with me because you just want to take? Or do you think that we can have a mutually beneficial relationship? I think no matter where anybody is in their career, there is possibility for collaboration. But coming from a taking mindset, it just kind of puts even me on the defense. Time is your most valuable resource. So when evaluating who I'm going to give my time to, I also have to consider, is this worth my benefit and not just theirs?
I have like a zero tolerance rule to automated bot cold calls on messaging, where if someone tries to add me to their network and they send a message saying, hey, I can develop your website, or hey, I can help with your searchability, you're probably not even talking to a person. You're probably just talking to a bot.
Oh, I get those all the time. I don't respond because if you're not going to take the effort to actually message me, why should I take the effort to message you back? However, I do realize that there's value in those. So I sometimes let them play out just so I can understand what their sales script is. But other than that, I do not engage with those just because there's not genuine engagement with me.
I know that you said you put up a little bit of a guard whenever someone tries to do outreach or to contact you professionally. What are the red flags that you look for?
Red flags are one, asking me about something that is very obviously stated on my page. That lets me know that we're probably going to have a difficult interaction just because you're already not respecting my boundaries. I would say the me post. The first time you reach out to somebody, you should not trauma dump. So people that trauma dump on me the very first message are typically red flags. And then also, if it just seems like a template where you don't care who you were messaging, I make it very obvious that I have clinical operations experience. So when people ask me very detailed questions outside of clinical operations, that just kind of makes me wonder, are they just shooting in the dark and just hoping somebody responds? Because it's like, I can't speak to that because that's not my experience.
What do you think are the advantages of strong professional networks?
Skipping years of heartache and headaches. When you network and you get to talk to people, you get to pull from their knowledge. You're no longer going at it alone. You can meet somebody with 20 years of experience and they give you the keys to success in an hour. So I definitely think it's just professional acceleration profession just in general because you're pulling off more than yourself.
If people are offering the gift of their experience, they're literally saving you time. They're saving you maybe some grief. Maybe they made a mistake, and if they can share it with you, then you won't have to make that mistake.
Yes, I am very grateful to the mentors I've had. They have saved me from a lot of pitfalls because they have the foresight to see that I was going down the wrong path and being able to say, hey, I know that you think this is best right now, but here's my advice from what I've been able to see.
It really is a matter of who you know. I know some people think that's a bad thing, but the more you're out there, the more you know people, the more possibilities you are aware of.
Yes, and that's professional and personal. We live in a who you know world, and people cannot bring you up in rooms if they don't know who you are.
Mhm.
So typically, if there's a room you're outside of, it's because nobody knows your name to even bring it up.
That's the biggest honor when you are not somewhere, but there's people willing to stand up and recommend you or to speak well of you.
Yes, and the more people that can vouch for you, that builds your social credibility. Nobody wants to work with somebody that nobody can vouch for. You can say whatever you want to say about yourself, but it's other people's perception of you is what moves you forward career wise.
How do you actively manage the growth of your network online?
I pour into other people. The growth is not just from me. I have a very strong and supportive community behind me. So as I have poured into others, they're willing to pour into me and introduce me to their networks because they saw value in what I offer.
There's an old farmer's tale. They say, if you give it all, you can never give it all away.
I can agree with that. I haven't heard that, but I can agree with that. In my personal experience, I've realized people that have tight fists with whatever resource they have typically don't get that back. And I think you have to have an open hand to give and receive because a closed fist cannot accept anything.
How do you maintain your professional networks and your relationships?
Keep doing the things that you did to start them. Maintain your interest in their life. If it's a, hey, I saw this post about you, just checking in, you see that they are celebrating a new milestone, be there to cheer in their corner, even if they're not on the center stage all the time. It's just a matter of having those check ins and seeing at any time if you could help them, or even asking if you can get help from them.
I don't know if you've ever gotten to this, but you're going through your day. You might be working or sending an email or doing whatever, but all of a sudden, just for some weird reason, someone pops in your mind. I wonder how so and so's doing. Just sending a message to them saying, hey, you were in my thoughts today. I'm not sure why, but hope everything's okay. There's no target behind it. Literally just, I'm talking to you just because I thought of you.
Yes, for me, there's people that I engage with more than others. And as their life has shifted, we engage less, but even missing somebody's absence. I'm used to seeing you. I haven't seen you in a while. What's going on in your life? It's very obvious if a relationship dies. If you notice that after a while you're checking in and they're not getting back to you, take that relationship for what it is and build a new one.
Do you think there's actually a limit to professional growth?
There is a limit of how many relationships you can actively maintain. That's where discretion comes about. You should go with quality over quantity because you can have 1,000 connections and nobody's willing to vouch for you versus 2 or 3 and they're willing to help you out.
Have you ever heard that saying where you are the culmination of the 5 people you see the most?
I have not, but I can definitely believe that birds of a feather flock together.
Exactly. When you affiliate with someone, you are essentially agreeing to make their characteristics part of your characteristics.
Yes, I know that I have personally not engaged with just by seeing people that they engage with. A lot of people should be more mindful of who they hang around, especially with this industry being small. A lot of people talk, and you never know who knows somebody. Definitely be careful. I have learned just to not say things that I don't want to get back to that person because once it leaves your mouth, it's not yours to own anymore.
We all have to do it. How do you end professional relationships if necessary?
I I tell them thank you for their time and move on. Depending on how deep that relationship is, I might offer a reason. But for the most part, I just tell people thank you. I think we've reached the end and just call it even there. Sometimes there's no need for over explanation. Most people know when a relationship is not working. It's just who's brave enough to actually put a stop to it first.
You can affiliate it with dating. You have to sit there and be cautious of this, be conscious of it, and saying, yeah, I don't know if we're really benefiting from each other anymore.
Yeah, even me, as I have been learning myself on this journey, there are people I don't affiliate with anymore. And that's just understanding that the alignment is not there. No hard feelings, but just saying we're not going to go where we need to go together.
People think of a network size, that's the objective. Oh, I got to have the biggest network possible. Just grab, take all these people. But you will get to a point where quality is key, and you have to really be selective about who you are affiliating with professionally.
Yes, you have to definitely keep that in mind. Some people are just energy vampires. You have to realize where your time is being taken from you in a non valuable way. I'm all for discretion, and that doesn't mean not to explore and experiment. Every day you wake up is a new opportunity to figure out who you are. But at some point, you have to sit down and get honest with yourself about what version of you do you love. Because I think we all like a version of ourselves, but I think it's important to get to a version you love.
Sometimes the hardest part of these professional relationships is actually having the strength to sit there and say, I don't think this professional relationship is taking me on the course that I choose to spend my life energy.
Yes, I couldn't agree with that more. I've definitely had some hard breakups with people professionally. I was just not going where they were going, and I had to honor myself and knowing that this is our fork in the road and I have to continue my journey.
How may we improve our professional networking practices to foster efficient and successful clinical research?
Don't be scared to make the first move. Lots of people are waiting for the first move to fall in their lap or some sign that only they know about to happen. The sign is you feel compelled to do it and do it. With relationships, you might have an idea, but don't let those ideas be rigid in what that relationship can bring you. Take the first step.
Take that initiative, be the confident one to approach people to grow your network and to actually help them grow theirs. There is a synergy behind it.
Yes, and authenticity. I tell people I don't know. I've told people I was a little nervous talking to you. You can be honest because people are people, no matter what title they hold. If you met them on the street, you would have never known that they do whatever it is they do. Don't let the title stop you from making a human connection.
I've seen this too, where you see an intimidating title and you really hope to impress them and you build your relationship off of a lie that only dooms you in the end.
I agree. I would say there's a lot of LinkedIners that are offenders in that they only talk to people that have a certain title. But what they don't know is that assistant could be the assistant of the CEO. Titles are given, relationships are earned. So go for what's earned and not for what's given.
Titles can come and they can go. Look at all the layoffs. It's not about the title. It's literally about the person, about building a relationship and try to accomplish some good.
Yes, I am an equal networker. I don't care if you've never actually worked in clinical research or you've been in it for 30 years and have the fanciest title at the company. We share an interest, and from there, we can have a conversation. I was once new, we were always once new, and if it wasn't for those people that were equal networkers, I would have not been here today.
My favorite thing to say if someone reaches out to me, they'll say, hey, Dr. Fox, I'm brand new in the industry. I'm just trying to grow my network. I'd like to learn. You know what the very first thing I say to them is? I say, welcome to the industry.
Yes.
And you'd be surprised how many people remember that line as the very first thing that I ever said to them.
I can believe that. I am somebody that has adopted your many thanks. You have so many great very welcoming things. And I love that. I tell people, you are a clinical researcher. If you know about clinical research, you are learning the acronyms, you are a clinical researcher. Don't let how you're getting paid determine that.
Clinical research turns into this passion, just this thing that you are interested in at all times. I love to listen to podcasts for entertainment. I love to talk to new people. I love to just immerse myself in clinical research. And granted, that's not for everyone. That's how I feel about it. It's wonderful to talk to other people who feel the same.
I agree. I like to tell people, welcome to the dark side. Because oftentimes, the people that I meet, we all fell into clinical research. We all thought we were going to go those traditional professional routes. And once we found this industry, the amount of passion I see. So, yes, I am a welcome to the dark side.
If I were to hand you the microphone right now and I said, what would you like to tell the entire industry about professional networking and what we can do to make it a more positive experience for everyone? What would you tell them?
It's not where you start, it's where you're going. And keep that in mind as you navigate your network to ensure that you're building a path of success of where you're going.
Being very proactive, the sky's the limit as far as professional development goes. And if we all come together, think about each other and what we could help others accomplish and how they may help us to accomplish synergistically, maybe we could build our professional networks and truly have some better clinical research.
Yes, I agree with that wholeheartedly. We are a global industry and multiple communities. Sharing what you've learned in yours is not a bad thing. That just means that medicine has just become more accessible because another community can thrive.
Elizabeth, thank you so much for coming on to CRPN Central. An excellent interview. I look forward to sharing this with the audience and for the follow-up live event after this.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Dr. Fox. It has been such a pleasure.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.
For years, Lee has worked in the industry in patient recruitment, trial acquisition, and now as CEO of Makoa. He never takes a break from business development and has an eye for opportunities with PIs, MSLs, tribal liaisons, and fellow sites at conferences, birthday parties, and even bowling alleys. Professional networks provide a plethora of advantages such as opportunities, best practices, SOPs, and market trends, and there isn't necessarily a secret recipe or formal process to successful networking because if it's not organic, it's not authentic, and therefore impersonal. Instead, we must adopt a sense of rigid flexibility that customizes the networking experience to the needs of others. It's always better to approach potential networking colleagues with an offer, not an ask, to optimize the value proposition of everyone involved. And we must protect our valuable time from the time vampires who become burdensome without added value, just as we do in fishing, by cutting the line and saying no when a relationship is not mutually beneficial. And if we keep an open mind, talk with our experienced industry colleagues, be authentic, pick up the phone, and start relationships by offering value, we will rapidly increase who we know and therefore improve our network, our professional opportunities, and our overall value. Elizabeth spent her years in the industry fighting the gatekeepers and filling this gap in knowledge for our professionals. Now, as the co founder of the Clinical Research Referral Club, she is passionate about being the change that our industry needs to help its professionals successfully network with each other. Networking offers significant professional acceleration that helps us to skip years of mistakes and lessons learned. To be successful, we should start our engagements with reciprocity by bringing value to our colleagues and then considering our asks. And we should avoid the take transactions, the generic templates and inhuman spam, and the me trauma dumps that act as professional energy vampires on our souls. This really is a who you know industry, and we increase our success when we pour ourselves into others, practice routine check ins, and carefully choose the birds of a feather who share our passions. Closed fists cannot give or receive, and if we share and support each other, we are not afraid to make the first move. We are not idealistically rigid to what relationships may become, and we proactively approach our fellow professionals with honesty and genuine interest in each other. We are bound to build long, lasting, and supporting professional networks for years to come. Both of today's guests unanimously confirmed the advantages of strong professional networks, the need to selflessly offer value prior to making requests, the importance of authentic and genuine engagement, and the critical selectivity away from professional vampires. And while Lee focused on the importance of recognizing network opportunities in any location, Elizabeth highlighted the importance of being selective and considerate about our professional affiliations. So, how may we improve professional networking activities to foster efficient and successful clinical research? Across Lee's organic and customized strategies and Elizabeth's structured and considered processes, our guests' answers correlated across three distinct principles. To successfully grow our positive professional relationships, we should focus closely on honesty, authenticity, and selflessness. Approach your fellow professionals as yourself and be honest if your relationship is taking different directions. Be genuine and sincere as you engage to find and associate with professionals who share your passions, and always approach new relationships willing to offer value, not to take it, for long lasting, productive, and synergistic professional relationships that will launch you into unrealized potential for years to come. Thank you for listening to an inspiring Professional Networks episode. Remember, don't be a vampire. Be present, be mindful, and if you truly give it all away, you will never be able to give it all away as you progress through your professional career. If you'd like to learn more about growing your professional network, reach out to Lee and Elizabeth or join the Clinical Research Referral Club. That's www.joincrrc.com and learn from some of our industry's greatest connectors. Thank you to Lee and Elizabeth for taking the time to speak with us today. Thank you to our CRP and Short volunteers for getting the conversation started. Finally, thank you to my CRP and Central sponsors for making this podcast possible. Thank you again for listening, and we'll see you next time on CRP and Central.